guys, welcome to another installment of Drills with Will. So for this installment, we're just refining Dryfire. I'm going to break down how I set up at home to work on very specific isolated skills and then apply them all together towards the end. As a reminder, guys, Drills with Will is not just about giving you a set drill for the month or the week and then you go beat some time. It's about chasing an ability and a skill set and really dial in the way we practice all together on the range and all the work that dials us in at home, which is Dryfire. And today is actually how to Dryfire, how to replicate everything on the range at home. Let's do it. So what we mean by Dryfire is no live rounds whatsoever. Dryfire in itself is one of the most important things you can ever work on. This is where the finite details are worked out prior to the shot and vetting the grip. This is everything. This is where you truly get better as a shooter. And you have a better understanding of what you're doing wrong or correctly that won't cost you money firing rounds downrange aimlessly until you learn something. For most people, we're just looking for like 15 minutes extra time that we have in the day. If we even have that, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, you can take 10 minutes and refine one or two things. It's really simple, and I'm just gonna walk through what I do, and that's it. Okay, now we're gonna break down all you need for Dryfire. The first thing you're going to need is a completely safe and clear firearm, the gun of choice you want to Dryfire with. The next thing you're going to need are at least 2 magazines. You can run these empty with training rounds or inert rounds, meaning they don't fire. They're just there for weight. The next thing I would suggest is a par timer. This is our best friend when we can track progress. Get you one. Next thing we need is 1-inch blue masking tape. This will be marking our floors and walls. And if your walls are a darker texture, you can also use pasties or white tape. Something else, if you're a red dot user, I recommend during Dryfire actually occluding your red dot in the front lens, just like that. So all that's going to do is help show you when you're target focused or dot focused. It'll pay a lot of dividends for you. Something else you can do that will help you isolate more of what you're doing is get a video camera or an iPhone or whatever phone you use and record yourself from multiple angles to see what you think you're doing. See if it's actually lining up with what you're actually doing. You do not need a lot of space. You can just use one simple room, one wall, 2 walls, 3 walls, or 360 degrees. Find a bedroom, find a bathroom, find a living room, put on a TV show and have Dryfire all around it. That's all we need. So to start, all we're going to do is put up 1 pasty on the wall. I'm going to work on my draw, refining my grip, my delivery, basically the escalator of my red dot getting in the way of where I'm hard focused, and start with that. Boop. I could do an entire session just with that if I wanted to. I could work on rotations, movement, entry, exit, everything. I could do a lot of refinement with just 1. Okay, so this is what it would look like. Once I have that 1 on the wall, I would pick a spot on the ground without even having to set up a stage yet. Just pick a spot on the ground and focus strictly for maybe 2 minutes on just drawing and getting a sight picture and dot delivery to my eyes. I'm fixated on that spot. That is my focus. And then I'm going to work on just draw and getting that first shot on that dot. So here's what it would look like. Now what I'm looking for this whole time, if I'm just working on the draw, then I'm actually paying attention. I'm not racing the par time. Par time meaning you'll hear the first beep that says start this stage. The second beep you hear is the par time that I have set. And this one is set to 0.8 seconds. So you're gonna hear the initial beep and then the second beep that says your par time has been reached. For me, my goal is to have the first round breaking with a perfect sight picture at 0.8. That's just where we're starting with right now. Now, what I'm working on here, so I'm not just aimlessly drawing, is I'm making sure I have a good snatch pluck. So basically the garment's flipped, my hand has a great purchase on the gun, and the build is starting to happen. So I'm making sure I have a great garment clearance, I have a great draw, I've built my grip, and now my dot is being built underneath my eyes. Its delivery is coming straight up like an escalator, just like this under my eyes. What I should see, especially on a blank wall, is this dot, like a streak, coming up to my field of view. So I should see a little bit of a dot interrupting, and then right when it starts to float or interrupt that small spot, I'm done. So the next thing I'm going to work on with the same dot on the wall is just rotations. So now I'm going to be refining my eyes getting to that target sooner than my gun in my body. I want to make sure my eyes can lock in there and then deliver that dot much more refined and much more stable on the wall. So it would look like this. If you notice, my eyes are getting there as soon as possible. I really want to make sure that my eyes are launching to that spot to where I can literally guide my vision, guide everything with this dot delivery straight up to that spot as a stopping point. So important, because if we don't do that and we just kind of spawn in this direction, our gun and our body haven't landed in a refined position, so it's going to want to kind of travel. We'll end up looking like Picasso with our dot. So let's do that for a minute. Once I start feeling comfortable that my eyes are really locking in and that dot is interrupting from that 6 o'clock position coming up, just boom, interrupting my field of view, I feel pretty good about it. I don't need to waste excessive time refining it. It's just getting that understanding, getting those eyes locked in as soon as possible, and then moving on to the next thing, especially if we're limited on the time we have. So now I'm actually going to tape the floor for one beginning stage or one position to start, and then an end point. This allows me to work on my exit, my vision for exit and breaking the shots, and then my entrance to have my grip built and my sight picture already established as I'm entering that section. So since we've already started right here, I'm just going to make this one, this section right here, my first point. So I'm going to take a piece of tape. That will be my first stage. So the same thing we had earlier, and then now this is where I'd be working on my exit into entering my next one. Now, because we're going to be having a reload eventually, I have a mat down here just to kind of dampen the magazines hitting the ground so it's not as loud. If you have a carpeted room, that may be the ticket for you. If you have some rugs, do your reloads there. And then let's just say we'll have our entry right here. Like that. So this will be position 1 from here into position 2. And now we can work on movement. We're also going to go ahead and work transitions. So our vision landing on another target. So I'm going to go ahead and place a couple on the wall here that will build up for the final stage that I'm actually working on. So let's do that. I have one on the left side. I'm going to go ahead and place one towards the center, and then one on the right side. Now for more of a 90 degree, or as close to it as I can with the room I have, I'm going to place one more right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 targets we're going to be focusing on. So now that we have the stage laid out, I have my starting position where I would be exiting, and then my second position where I'd be entering. Now let's just say I want to add one more thing. As I focus my transition, I break my first shot. Now my vision goes over to these 2 other targets on the wall. So now all I'm going to do is a 180, get my vision locked in, break my pseudo 2 rounds, transition my eyes first to where my gun is chasing right on top of it or right behind it, and then my eyes transition after those 2 pseudo rounds to that 3rd target on the wall. So that'd be 2, 2, and 2 that my goal is to emulate that course of fire. So let's see what that looks like. Now, all you have to do is just rotate a different direction and increase your speed. So do something sooner. Don't think quick and rushing past something. All the fundamentals, all the foundational things still apply to what we're doing. We're just trying to do that as soon as we can and still execute it perfectly. So now we're going to do a different direction and start increasing speed. So now I'm rotating this direction, fixating on this far target, and then moving across. Okay, so at this point, we're working on everything we've built up to. And now we're just going to add another layer, which is movement. Again, from point A to point B, exiting and entering. The goal is to have a refined sight picture on exit and already a pre-built and refined sight picture on entry. Let's see what it looks like. And repeat the process. And then slowly pick something to do sooner. So for me, I'm going to, on my exit, kind of burst across as best I can and then get that going. rotate a different direction. Okay, so now that we've refined and worked on our actual movement, exits, and entrances, now we're gonna add one more variable, which is a reload between stage 1 and stage 2. So in the process of our exit, we are going to conduct a reload and then immediately have our vision back on target to where when we enter, we can begin that course of fire. Now, here's what this is gonna look like. Because we don't wanna have it where it's just memorized as a drill or a stage, we're gonna constantly change our visual aiming points. So for the first rotation, and this one right here, I'm gonna actually be using this target and this target. So it'll be 2, 2. After my reload and I land in stage 2, my targets are this target right here, 2 pseudo rounds, and then a hard, as close to 90 degrees I can get, transition across to this target over here. So now we're working on that hard visual transition where my eyes are really leading that gun. And Rob Epifania calls it cat and mouse. So we're really chasing our vision. Our vision's king though. So for the first demonstration, I'll be using the TXC AIWB prototype and then mag carrier. You may not see the reload, but it'll be happening here. And then I'll move over to the overt series and you'll be able to see a little bit more of the movement. Let's see it all together. Okay, and reset. So I'm really trying to guide my landing position to where everything is open, my hips are open to the targets I'm actually transitioning to, where I don't have this weird restriction. If I'm running this direction, the habit is just to run this way, and then you have this really hard movement with your upper body and it slows things down. So what you want to do is try to have your landing position open to the final portions of the stage that you've kind of built. So for me on this one, it was entering here and then having a really simple transition with the eyes, really hard transition with the eyes to get to that spot. Do one more. Okay, now that we have a good understanding of where we are for the day, we've refined everything for AIWB, let's transition over to the gamer rig, competition rig. Okay, so for OWB, if I can game it, I'm going to rotate with the outside of the waistband. I'm rotating towards the gun. That gives me more time with it versus having to rotate a no-shoot zone. I won't be able to draw and bring the gun up into the air. So I would have to wait if I rotate away until I get to here. If I turn inboard with the gun can immediately start coming out. And my scoop can be truly scoop. So, muy beneficial. Let's do one. Let's go as soon as we can without giving up anything. Another thing with the OWB or my competition holster, this is a TXC Overt. It's a competition holster that can be used for work as well. I have the hand tension rods back here. There's absolutely nothing in this void here between my hand and that highest purchase on the gun, that trigger guard, to where when I'm ready, I can literally scoop that gun and there's no process to it. It's literally just scooping the gun right out. And when you do that, you have a perfect grip on the gun. That's really beneficial, especially when you're competing, having that scoop dialed. For the first 2 mags on my belt, if I drop my hands down, they're gonna be just in front of where my hips are gonna be, to where if I am shooting, if I drop my hand, when I drop my hand down, it's gonna fall to that first mag and be really natural where I can snatch it really quick. And it's just an elbow almost coming back like a piston and coming straight up, or dropping down to it. Now, once this one's gone, same thing would apply to the second mag. Those first 2, without messing up my kind of mobility in my hand, I'm not going any farther, I'm not hyperextending for it for the slanted mags. That's about the max I would have for my 2 slanted mags. This one back here is more of just a auxiliary or a preloading or a backup depending on the size of the stage, I would have that one available, but I can't slant it because then I couldn't actually get my hand to move far enough. So that one's where it has to be vertical. And the next thing would be like the magnet. That's why it's there, just to have that. The mag I would be using to start would just be sitting there idle. And that's my belt setup. This is just a par timer, and I have my mags. Everything else is pretty slick. I'm using this one right now for Dryfire, but this is the one that would be on my belt for classes or just for competitions if I need it. It's a Shooter's Global as well. This is the more simplified one, and this is the one we use for classes. They're fantastic. So it's really important, guys, that you don't just set one thing up and stick to that and only rep that like it's some drill to master. Again, we want to have a few looks to refine the skill sets we're trying to work on, and then move it and change it to where we're constantly revetting our skill sets, revetting our vision, revetting our transitions, revetting our reloads and our movement. We don't want to just lock into one repetitive motion. We're not a NASCAR. We actually turn left and right and move in different directions. It's not always left. When it comes to judging your performance and if you're actually improving, the way to do that is set your par timers. If you're setting it at 1.5 seconds for your par time and start performing that task and go, wow, I have a whole surplus of time before that par timer actually goes off. I've accomplished my task and I have a surplus. Well, then take that surplus out and lower your par time to 1 second, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.6, 0.5. Keep working your way down to perform certain tasks like the reload itself. Also, the same thing applies for the draw. This is where guys will get so caught up on pulling the trigger before the par timer goes off that we've given up our grip, our delivery. We don't actually have a sight picture. We just kind of are looking at a target and pointing towards it. That's not accomplishing what we want. We want to truly perform at a high level and do that as soon as possible every single time and increase our abilities. Truly focus on your foundational skill sets before you start rushing a timer. Really be honest with yourself. Now, if you did have any questions regarding any of the equipment I use from TXC, be it the Overt series holsters, belts, anything like that, or the AIWB products that are currently being made or about to be made, hit us up at txcholsters.com on social media or hit me up, Stuffs and Pews. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I'm exhausted. I'm ready for some steak. I'll see you on the next installment of Drills with Will.